Hello, Lucas here. I'm going to show you how I created a simple text-based game in Visual Studio using C++. I'm going to first show you when I run the game how it's working, and then I discuss the code behind the game. So I just started my game. It's an arena game. I can start new game or quit the game straight. So I'm going to start, press S. Please enter your name. Just enter my name. This is just simple introduction. Now you walk into small room before match starts and see equipment on the table. First you can spot these two types of armor, leather or iron one. Which one will you choose? This is up to the user. I'm going to choose the leather. You decided to trust your reflex test instead of heavy iron to protect you. Next you see is light sword and heavy axe. I'm going to choose the sword. So you decide you want the shiny sword. Next you can see is a shield. I'm going to choose the small shield. I want the freedom of the movement. Now you walk into arena and first enemy approaching, and see the first enemy approaching. Prepare for battle. It's the printed logo there. Enter an attack you want to use. I want to use the fast or heavy attack. Fast is enemy block chance is reduced. When you use the heavy you get a bonus damage, so I'm just going to use the heavy one until enemy is low on light. Then I want to reduce his block chance. So I took 11 damage, my health is 139, enemy took 35 damage, enemy health is 115. You see I just typed 22, only 1 or 2 is allowed as input, so it checks for errors. Type 2, swinging mighty, and you blocked and enemy blocked. Of course your block chance is higher than enemies, but numbers are rolled randomly. I'm going to try again. Enemy took 35, 33, 13. I could use number 1, but I killed him. So I'm 109 health, and I just killed the first enemy. You killed Ringo. Do you want to fight another enemy? Type fight. Enemy, or do you want to give up? Type surrender. So I want to fight, and now next enemy is coming to fight me. I want to swing him, and again I just blocked attack, and again and again. Now he's low. I just press 1 and he blocked anyway. Now I killed him. You killed Cassius. I press fight again. Next enemy is coming to fight you. Enter an attack. I want the fast attack now. Try to kill him fast. I blocked attack and he got the damage. I'm getting low on life. So I killed the third enemy, Sebastian. I type something wrong, like for example, and it shows me only surrender or fight allowed as input, so I have to type fight. Next enemy is coming. Swinging mighty. You trust your speed. I'm on 26 health, really low. I blocked, so that saved me some health. And I blocked again. He's on 21, so I could kill him now. You killed Bane, the Arena Lord. You killed enough opponents. You got your freedom, and the logo is displayed. This is if you win the game. Now I'm going to run it again, and we'll see if I can lose. I run through this really fast. So again I just choose, I now go for heavy, and I choose the axe, and I will choose heavy sword. Now again logo, I'm going to use the heavy attacks at the beginning and try to use the slow at the end to finish the enemy. Kill the first one. Of course I want to fight, and again the heavy and heavy attack and heavy attack, and I try to finish him off with the lava. Want to fight again and kill Cassius, and I want to fight again. Killed Sebastian, and I'm really low on health, so now it depends on my block rating. If I can block enough of the swings and I'm on 1 health, I just blocked attack, I just blocked again, and I killed him, but he killed me. So when the arena lord killed you before he died, you killed 4 enemies in total, you died, game over. Maybe next time you do better. So this is what happened when I die, and a simple logo is displayed. Now I'm going to show you the code behind the program. So I have my code sorted in files. First I start by showing you the main file, which is gamearena.ccp. So this is simple arena program that gives player life points and calculate damage based on attack and defense type. Author, that's me, version and date. So there are my includes. Here is the web pages that I use the stuff from. And there are my includes, the files, player.h, enemy.h, all the files that I sorted. Include usings, and there is my main. Here I set my console window. As you could see, it was an 80, it was 120 by 50. Show simple menu, it's all in functions. Now there is the choice of a player if he decides to run the game or quit the game, else it's not valid input, it just prints for him and then does it again unless he chooses to quit or start. There is the simple print line function that I created. Please enter your name to sign up for Arena. There is the user input. It's another function I created, which I discuss later. Puts it into a name. Then it just prints the hello and your name. Now is your time to shine for Arena, as you could see in introduction. Here am I going to create a player class, which I'm going to discuss later as well. Set the player. I'm going to add weapon and shield and armor bonuses as the player chooses. So if I choose the light sword or heavy sword, now you walk into arenas. In first enemy approaching, there is the prepare for battle, and you see the shield logo printed on the screen. Then I put the enemy names into a vector, and then there are the variables which holds all the health for enemy player after all iteration of the loop and the player himself. Testing values for loop, so if the fight is 0, that means that if the enemy health equals or doesn't equal fight, he can still fight. Counter of swings per enemy, so how many times I have to hit the enemy to kill it. Counter of killed enemies, as you could see at the end when I showed you that you killed 4 or 3, depending on how many enemies you killed. Next is the attack chosen from player, so it stores 1 or 2 depending which one you choose. Now I'm going to create a player which is enemy, so it's the same class but used for enemy. I'm going to do my loop, give name to the enemy, so I just set the name, choice of attack, so it is attack chosen equals attack choice, which is function. I'm going to discuss that later. Next is which attack I choose. It sets the block, chance or attack in my player class. This is simplified function, which is player class as well. So it takes argument as enemy and player, which is you, and you're going to fight enemy. And so basically you're going to fight enemy with their block, chance and attack, and I think so it's armor. Next is attack chosen. You have to set the values back to default, otherwise the block chance of the enemy will just go lower and lower and lower each iteration of loop until you kill it and the new enemy, and then it goes lower and lower and lower if you don't set it back after you swing the enemy. Now I put the health values into variables where I can read it from. It is not necessary, but it's easier to understand the code. So check if you are still alive and you can fight after you swing an enemy swinged you. So if that player equals 0, that means if your health is 0. Now I'm going to check if enemy's health is 0 as well. If it is, I'm going to print that enemy killed you before the enemy died, and increase the counter of enemies that you killed for the final printout and break the loop. Else, if enemy is still alive, stays alive, just enemy killed you. Now I'm going to increase the number of swings that you used to kill the enemy. This is exits to loop after you killed an enemy. Of course, if it doesn't break out of the loop when you are dead. So if you kill the enemy, you continue. Now it checks if you are not dead, and then it just shows you that you killed the enemy, and it gets the enemy name. And if the enemy counter equals 4, so if you are still alive and you killed 4 enemies, you killed enough enemies, you killed enough opponents, you got your freedom, and prints the cap logo, which is in the logo files, which I show you later. Then it posts the system. Now there is the option which I give after you kill each enemy. So if you kill less than 4 enemies, it gives you options if you want to fight or surrender. If you choose surrender, it will exit the program. Otherwise, you'll just continue as usual, so it doesn't do anything. And if this is going until you're still alive, this while loop. So if you die, that means that you killed and the counter of enemies, so 4 enemy or 3 enemy in total before you died, game over. Maybe next time you do better, and print to school logo, which is in logo files. Now I'm going to show you the logos CCP, where you can see it's just print line which is centered. So it's the function that I created to center the line, and there are 3 logos which are printed in the game. There I can show you the menu file, which is that show simple menu. It's nothing, just print the text as well. Then I have the player, that's the class. In player I have includes the player H, set equipment H because I'm using the equipment, IO stream, Windows H, and strings. Player class and it functions. So this is the default constructor for player, this is the full constructor for player, which takes the integer armor, integer attack, integer block rating, and string name. I didn't use that, but I can if I need. My getters and setters, so these ones I am adjusting when the players is deciding on which armor he wants and which shield and sword he wants to use. Next is the print function which I was using before, where I was printing the health and armor and attack and block chance when I needed it. Now there is the fight function, which is quite long. So I take the player as enemy. This is just to center the string which you see on the display. I take the damage dealt, so this is the integer that damage they dealt to each other, and the random number which I will generate for the block rating. So there is the random number and random block. Random number is just to give randomness to the attack, it's from 3 to 1 or 1 to 3, and block chance is give a percentage to the block, so it's 1 from 100, and if you have 20% chance to block, so if it gives you number from 1 to 20, it means that you blocked. There is the block successful for players, so if the block chance it's higher or equals the random block, so if you have for example 20 in your block chance, that is higher or equals to the random number. So if it was, for example, the random number was 10, so yes, the block chance was higher, that means that you blocked, so you blocked the attack. Block not successful, else equals damage dealt, is you get your attack plus the random number, that's the randomness in attack, minus the armor, that your enemy has. Now if the damage dealt is less than 0, this prevents from negative numbers, so I put the damage dealt equals to 0, that your health cannot go to -10 or -5, and then I show you how much damage you took, and then subtract it from your health. Now if your health is less than or equal to 0, that means that means that this prevents health to 0 if it's negative. And this I just put them to check because of if armor was more than the attack, that means that you wouldn't be taking damage, but you would be adding basically to your health the damage dealt. That's why. Now block successful for enemy, it's the same as for a player. If the block chance is more or equals to random block, then the enemy blocked attack. Otherwise block is not successful, everything is same, and this prevents from negative numbers. I was wrong at the beginning, so this is if your armor is bigger than the attack that you do, that would basically create a negative number and you would be getting health instead of the losing health. So this is just damage dealt equals 0 because of that. Next I show you the set console window, which I use from this web page. This is just basically sets my console window. It takes the coordinates, which is width and height, which I set to 160 and 50, and then it creates the rectangle from the top left, and basically handle is the get handle std output dot handle, so this gets the handle to your window. Here is the include of window h in my includes, and then set the buffer size and then set the window size. This one version is the long version, which returns the fail if you failure in getting handle, failure in getting buffer size, and failure in getting window size. Now I have the set equipment. This basically sets the player's equipment accordingly to the choice of the player. Again, I have my includes here. So here I put all my functions into this file. Basically I have a print line. Here is the delay that I'm using, that the text looks like it's being typed. Here is the web pages that I took it from. This is how I print the line that is centered. So basically I take string and I go string center equals center string, so I go down to the center string, and it's again the string that I want to center. I get the screen, I get the size of the current window, get again the handle. This is just initializing our window, so basically I get the screen buffer. Now I take the size or width of the current window, put it into integer columns. So basically I divide the columns by 2, so that takes the half, but I subtract my length of the string that I have there, so it's nicely centered. And then I just put the spaces that I need to put before the world that I want to center, and then I just return the string that is already centered. Then I use this centered string, and I'm going to display it in the console window like it's being typed. If it's sleep 20, here is sleep 0, so some text I didn't want it to be displayed as it's being typed, because it would take too much time if I would be just typing everything. Your health is reduced by blah blah blah. It just takes too long. Next is the expected input. So this is basically just cout and the symbol I use for expected input. Now the function that I take the input is I create a string, I I again use my other function, which puts the symbol there, and I take the whatever user typed into a word and I return it. Now equipment choice is the function which take the choices of the equipment, so it just checks and return the choice accordingly, that you can only be allowed to type 1 or 2 as an input. So basically I just return checked integer that I know that user can type. Now here is the thing that I used as well from the web page, because if I type the letter, it just was going in a loop. I need to clear the buffer and then ignore the symbols until the end of line. Basically I can if you type in 2 lines, this will work, but you have to basically, you will be shown only 1 or 2 is allowed twice, so there is a small error. Now I'm going to set the player. So what I need is a player, so I'm passing a player class, and I'm going to show the print lines which equipment I want to use. Now it goes into the armor choice, which I showed you just now. So I know that I just returned 1 or 2, and now I can check if it's 1, else it's 2. Now I set the armor and set attack. I put these values that can be changed anytime. So I just put that some block rating or dodge rating for the choice. So you want the you trust your reflex instead of heavy iron to protect you, so I give you armor 5 and attack 2, and as you can see that you will be safe behind that big iron armor, so your armor is a bit higher but your attack bonus is only 1. And I did basically same things with the sword or axe. I put the block chance higher on sword and attack a bit lower than on axe, and same with shields. I put the block chance on the small shield to be 10 and big shield to be 15, but also I put the attack to be 3 and armor to be a bit higher with the small shield, and armor to be a bit lower on the big shield because you have higher block chance. These numbers could be basically adjusted anytime. Now there is my attack choice. This is basically a function that checks and prints on the screen which choice you choose. Basically if you choose attack 1 or attack 2, of course it checks that only 1 or 2 is allowed. Again I use the see and clear and see and ignore, and there is the loop which will loop through it until you enter the right numbers. Now if you enter 1, it shows you trust your speed or swinging mighty. I put some spaces that you can nicely see it, and there is the surrender option. If I type surrender, basically it exits the program, which I show you in a second. So you want to fight or surrender. There is the string choice. Of course I'm going to check whatever you type can be only surrender and fight. So again I use the see and clear and see and ignore. So I run my game again. Now I'm just going to show you what happens if you surrender. I'm going to choose some small shield, axe, this is for sword, and 2 will be for heavy shield. And now I'm just going to fight the first enemy. As you can see, this you trust your speed and swing and mighty, there is the spaces that I used. And you see I type 4, only 1 or 2 is allowed, so it checks for the mistakes. Now I kill the first Ringo, so I'm going to surrender, and then it just pauses the program, press again, and exits the program. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about the plan of my game. So I should show you the different elements of my game loop. So as you could see, it was show game menu, user sign up for game, creating player class, taking user choices and adjusting player class, creating simple enemy from player class, using fight function from player class and user input for fight between enemy and player, deciding on victory or loss condition depending on health or kills. Basically, if you have 4 kills, it's victory. You can have a 4 kills and be dead, so basically you lost. So I just started my game by showing a simple game menu with 2 choices. After user decide to start the game, he is prompted to enter his name to sign him into arena. User then can choose from different types of armor, as you could see weapons which gives him different bonuses to his attack, block and armor. Later I create an enemy from player class which has preset stats, not difficulty yet implemented in game, so you cannot choose the difficulty, but it might be later in the later version. And let the player to decide which attack he wants to use to hit the enemy, and again adjust his and enemy stats. As you could see, you hit the enemy and then I have to adjust the stats and adjust them back that they stop growing. When the player health reaches 0, game is over and player lost. But if you kill 4 enemies, then you get the freedom and you won the game. Of course, if you kill 4 enemies but you die, you lost anyway. Now for my further improvement, I was thinking of implementing the difficulty for the game, where user can decide which difficulty he wants to play on and put some colors for text depending on the difficulty. So for example, if he will be playing on the hardest difficulty, then I put monsters with more health, maybe more armor and more attack. And for example, the text which you will be shown as swinging mighty or you trust your reflexes will be in red. Then I wanted to create an armor weapon and maybe shield classes that I can put all the stats into the class and then just use the class as the whole instead of putting all the numbers manually in there. Maybe an equipment class as main class and the rest as child classes. So basically I create one main class which will be equipment and then just loads of child classes as armor, shield, maybe I can give them boots. There can be many options. I would also improve player class and create enemy class where I would give enemy the type fast enemy, strong enemy. So for example, I can show you enemy already here, but I couldn't use it because it's just extends player class, and because I want to use it in player class, I couldn't basically create enemy before player was created, but I already wanted to use it in player, so it was showing me the error. But I could create a separate enemy class that wouldn't extend the player and would be just for enemy, and then I could basically put the types in there, fast or strong enemy, and it would show, for example, to the user on the screen that the fast enemy is coming. You should be using this type of attack to have a higher chance of victory. And I would give maybe more options for attacking, blocking, and also casting spells. So maybe I would give you 4 options. One would be to attack heavy, second attack light, third block, and 4 cast a spell, and maybe gives you some mana pool that gives you some basics for casting spell. For example, you have 100 mana, one spell costs 20, so we can cast 5 spells, and after each attack it will regenerate by 4 or 5 depending on the numbers. And this is my sketches of the armor and sword and axe, where I was putting some armor ratings and blockchains that I had it on paper, and I could just sketch it really fast and then put it into game and try how it works. So basically this is all my project, and this is the